Everyone says you're doing well. They say it with relief, with admiration, sometimes with envy. They look at your life and see stability. They see progress. They see someone who figured it out. Awesome. And you've learned to nod when they say it, to smile, to agree. Because from the outside, it's true. You did everything you were supposed to do. You fixed what needed fixing. You built what needed building. You became someone your past self would be proud of. But there's something no one sees, something that doesn't show up in your achievements. You don't feel inside your life anymore. You move through your days efficiently. You complete what needs to be completed. You respond the way you're expected to respond. But it feels like you're slightly behind yourself, like your body arrives first and you follow later.
No.
You laugh, but it sounds distant. You rest, but never feel restored. You reach milestones and feel nothing when you get there. And the strangest part is, this is the version of you that finally made it. This is the version everyone respects, which means no one questions it. No one stops you and asks, "Are you happy?" They assume you are, because everything looks right. But something inside you knows the truth. You didn't fake your success. You faked your presence inside it. And now you live in a strange contradiction. You are living the life you worked for, without fully living in it. So the question isn't why you're struggling. The question is more dangerous than that. What if doing well was the exact moment you began to disappear? There was a time when doing well meant something. It meant you were alive inside your effort. It meant the struggle was yours. The progress was yours. The feeling was yours. Now, doing well feels different. It feels like maintenance. You wake up, not with curiosity, but with responsibility. You move through routines, not because you're drawn to them, but because they're already built. Nothing is wrong. And that's what makes it impossible to explain. Because pain is easy to point to, loss is easy to name, but absence has no visible wound. From the outside, you look complete, but internally, something has gone quiet. You stopped asking yourself what you want. You started asking what's expected. You stopped choosing your direction. You started protecting your position. And slowly, without any dramatic collapse, you became someone who functions perfectly and exists barely at all. People praise your consistency. They admire your discipline. They trust your stability. But they don't see the trade you made. You didn't sacrifice your happiness. You sacrificed your presence. Because doing well never required you to be alive. It only required you to continue. And you did. You continued so well, no one noticed. You were no longer there. At first, you didn't notice it happening. Why would you? Everything was improving. Your life became more stable, more predictable, more respected. You solved the problems that used to keep you awake at night. You fixed the parts of your life that once felt uncertain. You became someone who could handle things. And people saw it. They saw your strength. They saw your growth. They saw your control. What they didn't see was what it required from you. Because stability has a hidden demand. It asks you to become consistent, reliable, dependable. And slowly, you stop asking yourself how you feel. You start asking yourself what needs to be maintained. You stop making decisions based on aliveness. You start making decisions based on sustainability. Not what makes you feel present. What prevents everything from falling apart. And at first, this feels like maturity. It feels like evolution. It feels like becoming an adult. You don't react impulsively anymore. You don't chase intensity anymore. You don't allow yourself to be pulled by uncertainty. You become calm, measured, controlled. And people admire that version of you. They call you grounded. They call you wise. They call you someone who has their life together. But there's something they don't understand. Control doesn't just remove chaos. It removes you. Because aliveness is not controlled. Aliveness is responsive. Aliveness is vulnerable. Aliveness is unpredictable. And when you remove unpredictability, you remove the conditions that make you feel real. And so you adapt. You become the version of yourself that doesn't need too much. The version that doesn't break. The version that doesn't risk. The version that can survive any environment. And survival becomes your identity. Not because you're weak, because you're capable. Capable of enduring. capable of continuing, capable of existing without needing anything more. And this is where the shift becomes invisible. Because survival looks identical to success from the outside. You wake up, you perform, you produce, you progress. But you do everything a living person would do. Except live it. You stop measuring your life by how deeply you feel it. You start measuring it by how well you maintain it. And maintenance has one goal. Don't lose what you built. So you protect it. You protect your routines. You protect your image. You protect the version of you that everyone trusts. Even if protecting it means slowly leaving it. You begin to notice something strange. Not suddenly, gradually. Moments that should feel meaningful, feel procedural. Moments that should feel exciting, feel expected. Moments that should feel like yours, feel assigned. You achieve something important, and your first emotion isn't joy. It's relief. Relief that you can continue being who you've become. Not excitement, not aliveness. Relief. Because excitement is unstable. Relief is safe. And safe becomes your emotional ceiling. You stop reaching for experiences. You reach for continuity. And you stop asking, do I want this? You start asking, can I sustain this? And over time, you forget there was ever a difference. You forget what it felt like to be pulled by something instead of pushed by it. You forget what it felt like to choose instead of maintain. You forget what it felt like to be inside your life instead of managing it. And here is the moment it becomes irreversible. Not when you feel pain, not when everything collapses, but when someone looks at you and says, I'm proud of you, and you don't feel anything. Not because you don't care, not because they don't mean it, because the person they're proud of isn't fully you anymore. It's the version of you that learned how to exist without needing to be alive. And everyone believes in that version. Everyone trusts that version. Everyone depends on that version. Including you. You built a self that can function perfectly without your presence. And this is the part no one prepares you for. Success can become a hiding place. A place where you no longer have to ask difficult questions. A place where no one expects you to be anything other than what you already are. A place where you can disappear without anyone calling it disappearance. Because they call it stability. They call it maturity. They call it growth. They call it doing well. And the longer you stay there, the harder it becomes to admit the truth. And you didn't arrive. You adapted. You became the version of yourself that required the least emotional risk to maintain. Not the version that felt the most alive. The version that felt the most sustainable. And sustainability has one silent side effect. It slowly replaces presence with performance. And until one day, you realize something that feels impossible to explain. Your life is working, but you are missing from it. Not visibly, not externally, internally. You are everywhere you're supposed to be, and nowhere you actually are. And the most dangerous part is, nothing is wrong enough to force you to stop. There is no crisis, no collapse, no visible failure. Just a quiet distance between you and the life everyone says you're doing so well in. And the question that begins to haunt you isn't, how do I fix my life? It's, how long have I been gone without anyone noticing? Because everyone says you're doing well. And that's exactly why no one sees you disappearing. There's a moment, usually late at night, when the performance stops. Not because you chose to stop, because there's no one left to perform for. No messages to answer, no roles to fulfill, no expectations to maintain. Just you. And the silence. And in that silence, something uncomfortable begins to surface. Not panic, not sadness. Recognition. You begin to feel the distance, not between you and other people, between you and yourself. You realize how long it's been since you last felt fully present in your own life. Not distracted, not productive, not efficient, present. And the realization doesn't feel dramatic. It feels calm. Too calm. Because calm is what you trained yourself to become. Calm doesn't react. Calm doesn't disrupt. Calm doesn't question the structure it lives inside. Calm maintains it. But maintenance was never supposed to replace living. Somewhere along the way, you stopped asking yourself dangerous questions. Questions like, do I still want this? Does this still feel like mine? Am I still here? Because asking those questions risks everything. It risks the identity you built. It risks the stability you created. It risks the version of yourself everyone believes in. So you stopped asking. And silence became your coping mechanism. Not external silence, internal silence. You stopped listening to the parts of yourself that didn't fit the life you were maintaining. Not because they disappeared, because they were inconvenient. They made you feel uncertain. They made you feel unstable. They made you feel alive. And alive is unpredictable. And so you chose stability. You chose control. You chose the version of yourself that could guarantee continuation, even if continuation meant disconnection. And this is the truth most people never realize. You can build a life that functions perfectly without ever feeling like it belongs to you. You can become successful without ever feeling present. You can become admired without ever feeling known, including by yourself. Because success doesn't require your presence. It only requires your participation. And participation is easy to automate. You learn the patterns. You repeat the behaviors. You maintain the image. And eventually, the image becomes more real than you are. You begin to trust it more than yourself. You begin to protect it more than yourself. You begin to live for it instead of inside it. And here is the midpoint most people never cross. The moment you realize you didn't build your life. You built a structure that replaced you. Not intentionally, not maliciously, gradually. Every time you chose safety over honesty, every time you chose stability over aliveness, every time you chose to maintain instead of feel, you strengthened it. You reinforced the version of yourself that could exist indefinitely without needing anything deeper. And everyone rewarded you for it. They rewarded your discipline. They rewarded your consistency. They rewarded your emotional control. But they rewarded your absence. Because absence is easy to trust. Absence doesn't disrupt expectations. Absence doesn't introduce uncertainty. Absence doesn't change. Presence does. Presence questions. Presence feels. Presence risks. Presence threatens the stability you built. So you learn to live without it. And you became someone everyone could depend on. Except yourself. This is the part no one celebrates. The moment your life becomes so stable, you are no longer required to exist inside it. Your routines continue automatically. Your relationships continue predictably. Your identity continues convincingly. And you continue mechanically. And not because you're forced to, because you adapted to. Adaptation is silent. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't ask permission. It simply replaces what used to be there with what is easier to maintain. Until one day, you notice something that doesn't make sense. Your life is full, but you feel empty inside it. Your future is secure, but you don't feel connected to it. Your identity is strong, but it doesn't feel like yours. And that's when the most dangerous realization appears. You didn't lose yourself in failure. You lost yourself in success. Not in the struggle, in the stability. Because struggle forces presence. Struggle forces you to be there. But stability lets you disappear quietly. And no one interrupts you. Because from the outside, everything looks like it worked. Everyone says you're doing well. And that's exactly how you know. No one is looking closely enough to see you're gone. There is a specific kind of exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. Not because your body is tired, because your presence is. You wake up and nothing is wrong, but nothing feels real either. Your life is waiting for you. Your responsibilities are waiting for you. Your identity is waiting for you. And you step into it. But something stays behind. You begin the day already slightly absent. Not enough for anyone else to notice, just enough for you to feel it. You respond. You perform. You function. and all of it happens correctly. Yeah, but none of it feels inhabited. It feels like you're managing a character who happens to share your name. Us. And the strange part is, you're good at it. You know exactly how to act. You know exactly what to say. You know exactly how to maintain the version of yourself everyone expects. Which makes it almost impossible to explain why you feel so disconnected. Because nothing is failing. Nothing is collapsing. Nothing is forcing you to confront it. Your life continues rewarding you. And rewards are convincing. They convince you to keep going. They convince you not to question. They convince you this must be what living feels like. But late at night, when everything becomes quiet, the truth stops cooperating. You feel it in the silence. A subtle grief. Not for something you lost. For something you abandoned. You try to remember when it happened. When you stopped feeling fully inside your own existence. When you stopped reacting honestly. When you stopped being surprised by your own life. But there is no clear moment. Because disappearance doesn't happen in an instant. It happens in permissions. Permission to ignore what you feel. Permission to postpone what you need. Permission to become who you must be, instead of who you are. One permission at a time. Until eventually, there is no one left inside making the decisions. Only the structure you built, making them for you. And this is the moment the illusion breaks. Not when everything falls apart. When everything continues, without requiring you. You realize your life doesn't need you to feel present. It only needs you to remain consistent. And consistency is something you mastered. You mastered showing up. You mastered staying in control. You mastered being dependable. Even when you were no longer there. Especially when you were no longer there. Because absence makes consistency easier. You don't hesitate. You don't question. You don't disrupt the system. You just continue it. And the longer you continue, the more convincing it becomes. And until one day, you notice something that changes everything. You are not afraid your life will collapse. You are afraid it won't. You are afraid it will continue exactly as it is. Predictable, stable, complete. Without you ever fully returning to it. Because collapse would at least prove you were still inside it. But continuation proves you might not be. And that's when the most dangerous thought finally forms. Not? How do I fix my life? But was I ever really here to begin with? Everyone says you're doing well. And maybe that's true. But doing well was never the same thing as being alive. Once you see it, you start seeing it everywhere. Not just in your work, not just in your routines. In your conversations, in your relationships, in the quiet moments no one else notices. You notice how quickly you leave yourself, how easily you disappear, the moment something becomes emotionally real. You change the subject, you make a joke, you distract yourself, you return to the version of you that's easier to maintain. Not because it's honest, because it's safe. And safety became your priority long ago, long before you realized the cost. Because safety protected you from disappointment. Safety protected you from rejection. Safety protected you from uncertainty. But it also protected you from being alive. You stopped risking emotional exposure. You stopped allowing yourself to want too much. You stopped allowing yourself to feel too deeply. Because wanting creates vulnerability, and vulnerability threatens stability. So you became stable, perfectly stable. Stable enough to succeed, stable enough to be admired, stable enough to never collapse, and stable enough to never fully exist. This is the paradox no one prepares you for. The more successful you become, the easier it is to disappear. Because success removes the interruptions. It removes the crises. It removes the moments that force you to confront yourself. It gives you permission to continue indefinitely. And indefinite continuation is where most people lose themselves completely. Not in chaos, in order. Because chaos demands presence. Order allows absence. Order runs automatically. Order doesn't need you to feel it. Order doesn't need you to question it. Order doesn't need you at all. And that's when you realize something terrifying. Your life can continue perfectly without you ever coming back. You can maintain your identity, maintain your relationships, maintain your responsibilities, without ever feeling present inside them. And no one will stop you. No one will interrupt you. No one will even notice. Because from the outside, everything still works. This is how people disappear. Without going anywhere. They remain visible, functional, successful, and internally gone. But the moment you notice it, the moment you feel the distance clearly, something changes. Not outside, inside. You begin to recognize the cost of your own absence. You begin to recognize how much of your life has been lived without you. And recognition is dangerous, because recognition removes the illusion. You can no longer pretend this is what you want. You can no longer pretend this feels like living. You can no longer pretend you are fully here, when you know you're not. And this is where the real choice begins. Not the choice between success and failure. The choice between performance and presence. Performance keeps your life intact. Presence brings you back into it. Performance keeps everyone comfortable. Presence makes everything uncertain again. Because presence means you might change. Presence means you might stop maintaining what no longer feels true. Presence means you might stop being who everyone expects, including yourself. And that is terrifying, because you don't know what happens next. You don't know who you become without the structure. You don't know what remains when the performance ends. But you do know one thing. You cannot unsee your own absence. You cannot unknow what it feels like to live a life that doesn't include you. And once you know that, continuing the same way becomes its own kind of suffering. Not loud, not dramatic, but constant. The quiet suffering of watching your life happen without you inside it. And maybe that's where everything finally begins. Not when your life changes. When you stop agreeing to live it without yourself. There is no dramatic moment when you come back. No clear line where the old version of you ends and the real version begins. It happens quietly, almost invisibly, in the smallest decisions. The moment you notice yourself starting to disappear and choose not to. Not because it's easy, because you finally see the cost. You see what it took to become the person everyone admires. You see what you traded to become someone everyone trusts. You traded your immediacy. You traded your honesty. You traded your presence. You learned how to be acceptable instead of alive. And for a long time, that felt like success. Until you realize something no one warns you about. A life can be impressive and still feel uninhabited. A person can be admired and still feel absent. A future can be secure and still feel like it doesn't belong to you. And once you feel that truth, even for a second, you can't unknow it. Because something inside you reacts, not loudly, but clearly. A quiet refusal. That's a refusal to keep watching your life instead of living it. This is where your real life begins, not when everything changes. When you stop abandoning yourself inside what doesn't. You start noticing what you feel again, not fixing it, not forcing it. Just noticing. You notice when something excites you and how quickly you learn to suppress it. You notice when something hurts you and how quickly you pretend it doesn't. You notice how often you edit yourself before you even exist. And slowly, without announcing it, you begin to stay. Stay inside conversations. Stay inside decisions. Stay inside moments that used to pass through you. Not perfectly, but honestly. Because honesty brings something back that performance never could. You. Not the version of you that functions. Not the version of you that maintains. The version of you that feels. And feeling is terrifying, because feeling makes everything real again. But it also makes everything yours again. Your life stops feeling like an assignment. It starts feeling like something you're inside of. Not controlling, not mastering, experiencing. And maybe nothing about your life looks different yet. Everyone still says you're doing well. But now That sentence means something else. It no longer defines you. It no longer traps you. It no longer replaces you. Because now, you know the difference between doing well and being alive. And once you know the difference, you stop settling for one without the other. Everyone says you're doing well, but for the first time, you're finally here to see if that's even true. Because the real tragedy was never that you were failing. It was that you almost succeeded at living an entire life without ever being inside it.